So first up, in getting the drivetrain mounted, we are going to strip this axle down. We're not running leaf springs anymore. We're going to be putting links on it, 4-link in the rear and front. So we're going to strip everything down, that way we can get our link mounts built out. Got the rear axle all cleaned up, stripped of all the mounts, so now we're going to start building out the links, getting everything mocked up. So we got everything cut out for the link mounts, lower tabs, upper tabs, and the truss. We get it all cleaned up. Got everything cleaned up, so we're gonna start with the truss, get that all tacked together. So for the upper links, we got the truss mocked up and the center line drawn on it, so that way we can get the upper links mounted and then face them towards the frame. Alright, so we got our lower links and upper links all tacked in. The lower links location just as far as we could go to get as much triangulation as possible with clearing everything, the brakes. And then the upper link is the truss is to set separation, and we got about 10 inches separation. We're going to be running 40s on this build. So now we're going to start mocking up the links themselves to the chassis and the axle. So we have the lower links set. As you can see, they have an upslope. This is about full bump. At ride height, the lower link should be level. Full bump height right now puts the belly height, if this were on the ground off of measurements, this would be 10 inches of belly height, which is pretty low. We still have plenty of room to go up if we wanted to, but we don't want to go too low because then we'll never be able to wheel it. So now that we got the lower links in, we're going to work on the uppers. To do that, we're going to set the pinion angle and then measure for the transfer case side, and then that way, once that's lined up, we can make upper links. All right, so we got the pinion lined up with where the transfer case output will be. So what we're going to do now is take a measurement from the edge of this bung to the edge of this bung, and that'll give us our upper link length. So we got the wheelbase set with all the lower links in. The rear upper 4 link is done. Now we're gonna measure for the front. So now that we got the 4 link all tacked in, we no longer need the track bar and this steering setup. So we're gonna remove all that from the axle. Now that the 4 link is complete, we have the wheelbase set at about 114 and a half. The lower links are all 36 inches, just 3 feet. It just makes it easy that way. And then the uppers are a little bit shorter front and rear. The front is about 90% and the rear is about 96. What that'll help with is the pinion to follow transfer case through travel. At the axle side, we have about 10 inches of separation, front and rear. And at the frame side, we're about 55-ish% of that. The front upper links on the previous chassis, we know this one cleared the passenger side or the driver's side of the engine. The passenger side has more space, so in theory, we just separated it to be even, and that should clear, but these may have to move around a little bit. We'll find out once we start mounting the drivetrain in. So the plan is to put the engine behind the front axle and then move the entire drivetrain back. That'll help a little bit with weight distribution, but also just for clearance on the 4 link. So that's what we're gonna start doing next. Start fitting the drivetrain. We got the engine here, we're gonna set that first and then get the transmission mated to it, start making mounts. With the drivetrain in, we want to start fitting the cab so we can kind of get some tube in here to start laying everything out. So we're going to be building some sliders real quick, slider tubes, and this is where the cab will end up mounting. So just got to build a bunch of tubes to go in here. So with fitting the cab, we cut the bed side off. The reasoning for that is we want the B-pillar to be the same width as the cab, as well as it's just easier to work with, and then we'll skin the bed side afterwards. And then the front, we're going to be skinning all this to gain as much clearance as possible. So we'll be cleaning this up as we throw a tube into it, but that's the idea. right, so we got the sliders built out, which has allowed us to locate the cab. Cab is semi-located, and that's going to allow us to start doing tube work. So we're going to start up with the B pillar and then work our way forwards and try to get the front end tubed out.